Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Industrial Platform Virtual Training. Right. So, how is everybody? So, can I have a show in the chat group? Since the CMCO started, how many of you managed to get an appointment with your customer? If you have an appointment since CMCO started, you put one in the chat group. Yes, many have appointment. Good. Wow. It's good. Right. So in fact, this morning, some of them text me, say they can't join this session because they're also having an appointment with the customer. It's good. Right. So welcome everybody. More than 100 people here join us and many more will be coming in. Right. Just want to have an idea. How many of you here are from Refill? If you are from Refill, you type 2. If you are not from Refill as our guest, can you press 3? The chat group. 2, 3. We have some guests here. Welcome. Yes, we have some guests here. Welcome. Right. Good. Now, in order to this morning in our platform here, I have invited 2 of my colleagues to come and share with us. First of all, let me introduce myself, especially for those are guests who are new to us. My name is Seng. I'm from the regional office. Right. My role in this industrial platform is to coach and guide our industrial colleague how to systemize their business using the KW business model. So we are in the process of systemizing our business using the KW business model, plus how to use the KW technology to help us in our industrial business. Now, second person is Mr. Chee. Mr. Chee will be sharing most of the information with us this morning. And Mr. Chee has more than 10 years in the industrial business. Right? So he is a very seasoned and experienced in the industrial sector. Yet at the same time, we can see many great results that he has in the industrial. The other person is CT. CT, who is joining us this morning as well. He has almost 10 years experience in the industrial, and his niche market is in the SME sector. So he'll be also giving his input from the SME perspective. So to help our panel speaker to understand our audience better, can you type in the chat box, if you are specializing in industrial, can you put 4? And if you are not specializing in industrial, you put 5. Say a hi. Right. A mixture of industrial, non-industrial people. Right. Okay. Right. Now, for those who are not in the industrial sector, can you just put some reason why you want to attend this session? What do you want to know? Or what do you want to learn from this session? Maybe you just type in some of the reason you join this platform. You attend this session here. For those who are not in the industrial, specializing in industry, yeah, in this, got more tips, get some tips, knowledge, okay, able to do industrial sector too with knowledge, earn more money, okay. Just starting as a rookie, how to get into the platform, land development. Wow, land development, that's a big topic. To venture, it's like industrial, okay, upgrade my knowledge, trends, okay, very good. Listing, okay, got listing and you know how to do it. Listing pro, that's still okay. Considering moving into industrial. I'm money minded, I see money in this, oh. Right. Got listing industrial client, my database also require industry. Yeah, so quite a number of us also feedback to me before saying that as you're dealing with your customer, quite a number of them have industrial property, ask you to assist them. Right? Continue moving in the okay, some of you moving into, yes, some of you have encountered customer who has property in the industry. Good. Okay, one of the common trademark I noticed within Mr. Chee and CT is that both of them, once they establish their business in the industrial, they have a lot of good repeated customer. Mr. Chee has a repeated customer to him that have brought him almost $500,000 or more than $500,000 commission. Whereas CT, he has potentially the same customer, repeated business for him, potentially, if the MCO lifted and everything goes on, you have potentially like $11 million from the customer deal value. So those are, I think some of you have seen it in the industrial, the margin is big. But just to cautious and manage your expectation, the industrial sector is a very different from residential. Right? So if you want to shift from residential to the industrial, you have to be mentally prepared and almost emotionally prepare for it. Now, some of the difference is that industrial is not emotional, right? Nobody fall in love with the factory. They only fall in love with the profit using the factory to generate. So unlike residential, people might fall in love with the kitchen, with the garden, with the design. Industrial sector is more factual. It's all about facts. And industrial sector required a lot more research to be done on your own, either on-site or off-site research. So there are a lot of research that you need to go in to equip yourself with knowledge so that you can engage with your customer intelligently. In fact, sometimes in the industrial sector, when the customer asks you for information, it's not because they don't know. It's because they want to test you whether you are actually professional and know what you're talking about. So therefore, we are dealing with a different type of customer, unlike residential, right? They are more emotional and their decision-making process may be longer. Whereas industrial sector, once they know what they want, they can make decisions very fast, right? So with that, so if you are considering transition into the industrial sector, you have to prepare for it. Number two is that it may take longer time to establish your business in the industrial sector. Minimum, maybe your first revenue maybe 6 months, because you need to very do your research, get to know the market, and know how to engage with all these customers in the industrial sector. Right. So with that, without further delay, I will pass the time now to Mr. Chee to bring us through some overall view, understanding knowledge that you need to know about the industrial. Let's welcome Mr. Chee. Mr. Chee, source. Is your voice on?
Hold on, thank you.
Okay,
Seng.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Oops, I think I shared the answer. Sorry, Oops. Okay.
We're seeing your, sorry, Mr. Chee, we're seeing your notes.
Is there notes? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Just now at the technical.
Yeah.
I thought I did it just now. Oh, so sorry.
So 2 monitors, a bit confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mr. Chee preparing himself, just give a background of him. He has been in the corporate side for almost 20 years, working in the corporate side. So some of the customers that he dealt with is all in the corporate sector of the industrial.
Okay.
Mr. Chee, yeah.
Okay, now Marcus.
Yes,
Yeah,
good.
much better. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go straight into this. Good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our session. Okay, this is the first time I'm doing a virtual presentation. That's why I'm fumbling here a bit. Anyway, let's go into it. Today's topic, I think, is interesting. In industrial property, all you need to know. So I would like to add a sentence at the back of all you need to know is all you need to know to decide whether I should be going into industrial property selling. Okay, this presentation here today will not make you an expert, but that's an introduction and overview on the subject of industrial property market. Some of you may like it, love it, you know. Some may find it very boring, but some and too technical, and some may decide later maybe really, you know, to join selling industrial property. For industrial rents, experienced rents, I hope I can give you a tip or two. With that, you can also support the new rents. Industrial property selling is a vast subject, and actually we must have earning base, perspective, and attitude really to succeed in the business. Today's slide I'm sharing is actually on what rather than on how with regards to industrial property. I think we're going to have a section later on that will maybe probably more on how. All right. Any opinions that I express here in this presentation is all drawn from my past experience. And if there's any question, I will try and answer the best I can. All right. And okay, let's jump. Let me give you a tour of industrial property. Jump to the tour bus. I'll be your guide. All right. Okay, a little bit about myself first. I have 20 years corporate experience in sales and marketing. My last position was a regional manager. So I've been ran for 12 years and head of sales in Retail Group for 5 years. In 2014, I took the shift and took the land for 4 years, and I got my license in 2014. And in my career up to today, I think I transacted about 200 million worth of properties, and mostly in the industrial market. Right? Okay, let's before we get into it, let's take an overview and ask a question. What is driving this industrial property market? As we know, is always driven by the vibrancy of our country's economy, and the strength of our economy is also due to investments, foreign direct investment (FDI), and also the domestic direct investment. All right. So let's go through some figures that are extracted from MIDA. Just give us an overview only, all right? Ask me economic questions. All right. Okay. The Malaysia economy is actually quite strong. But last year, our GDP growth was 4.3%, a bit lower than 2018. We have a quite low inflation. We got strong labor force. And also in 2020, because of the MCO, I think the Bank Negara estimated the GDP growth to be -2% to 0.5%. This is reported in this Age Market report. So I think this year could be a challenging year for us, for our economy. But let's see what's going to happen. But as an industrial agent or as an agent, I think we should first offer our support to our clients, our vendors and buyers, and work with them when necessary, right? Okay, next, let's go to look at the 2019 total approved investment. Actually, it amounts to 208 billion, of which 60% of it is from the domestic direct investment (DDI), and nearly 40% is from the FDI. All right, and from this total investment, 5,140 projects were approved. All right, creating totally 104 new jobs. Right, and if you look at it, this comment here. DDI assumes a greater role in complementing FDI, in driving Malaysia's investment agenda. So what does that mean? You know, to me, it means that the more FDI there is, the more DDI. So DDI means more opportunity for us industrial business, industrial property business. So that's how I see it. You know, so. Okay, All right. Let's quickly look at by sector. What's the total approved investment? Actually, there are three sectors in the economy: manufacturing, services, and primary. Okay, we particularly industrial region. I particularly interested in manufacturing. All right, and services also play an important part, 120 billion. And the other thing is manufacturing sector, commented here, continue to be a major contributor to the nation's export. All right, with 365 accelerated projects approved and increased 65% from 2018. So last year was very, investors actually came in. All right. I think the reasons are, you probably know why. Anyway, total manufacturing investment is nearly 83 billion, you know, all right. Next slide actually shows us, as in the manufacturing sector, FDI contributes 2/3 of the investment, and the domestic one 35%, right? And in manufacturing sector,
Mr. Chee, I think the voice is breaking from your side. Can you hear?
My side,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just
Okay.
some of the point.
I think my line was okay. Anyway, you hear me clearly? It's just breaking, but you can hear me.
Yeah,
can you hear me?
Copy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe repeat this line or the point.
Okay. All right. Okay. So this slide shows the total investment in the manufacturing sector. Okay, 83 billion of it, about 2/3 is from the FDI, the other 1/3 from the DI. From here, you know that 988 projects were approved. It constitutes about 19% of the total. Now we're showing about 5,000 over, right? So it's about 9% of total approved in terms of project, and the job created was 78,000 new, constitute about 65%. So that's why this manufacturing sector is a pretty good sector to help us create jobs in this country. And then Malaysia continue to be attracting healthy levels of investment in the manufacturing sector, with 7% increase in the number of projects, you know, in 2018. So that's a pretty big figure actually, and 108 projects are more than 100 million. All right. Okay. What type of projects are being done in manufacturing manufacturing sector? New projects constitute about 55%, and extension and diversification projects account about 45%. So sectors both have more FDI than DDI. Okay. So that's an idea of, and I would like to say that in this projects expansion and diversification, all this could be assisting what we call that, assisting manufacturing around in Malaysia, looking for more space, etc. So this is also an opportunity for industrial property business. Okay, let's look by industry.
The voice is quite bad, cannot hear clearly.
Can you hear?
It's breaking off all the time, so they can't catch what you say.
In my, right. Still can hear?
It's breaking the voice.
Okay.
The internet is a problem.
Might want to either try connecting to hotspot.
Huh?
Do you want to try connecting to hotspot instead?
Hotspot. Okay. I don't know whether my hotspot works or not. Yeah, hold on. Hold on, sorry. Can you still hear me?
Here, Bobby.
Still leaking, right? Okay.
It's frost.
Okay, I can't use my hotspot. I don't know why.
Wow,
I can't use my hotspot. Okay. You
CT,
hold on,
any comment at the moment so far from the statistics that you are seeing?
Yeah. Can you hear? Is it better now?
Yeah.
I can hear.
Yeah, put your
Okay,
mic
yeah.
near the mouth.
All right. Okay. Can I continue?
Okay.
Yes, please, Mr. Chee.
All right. Okay. So this approved investment by industry, I think a lot of us also know that electrical and electronic form the major part, 25, maybe 26%. And the rest, paper, transport, non-metallic minerals, and also chemical products. So these top 5 contribute about 8% to the total investment approved. Okay, so so when you go out there, there's an industrial rent. You look at these industries and give them a call. You know, they may need more space. All right. Okay, where does this investment come from? Which country? FDI. So it comes from US, China, and Japan. These three makes up 66% of the total. All right, the rest come from Singapore, Taiwan, and so on. It's good that you know Mandarin and Japanese. That will be an advantage for you as a rent if you do meet these customers. Okay, next is
basically this slide shows just our previous slide shows where the foreign direct investment come from. The first 3 countries that put in more investment into Malaysia, US, China, and Japan are the top 3. So they contributed the 66.3% of total foreign.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Next slide.
Okay.
Continue. Next slide. We'll look into the.
Okay. Let's go by states. All right. As usual, Selangor and Penang has major investments in these states, and other states also have. We have it here in Kedah and as well as Johor. I think Penang has a big improvement. It's catching up with Selangor. Right.
So this slide shows which are the states in Malaysia where a lot of these industrial investment they put in.
Okay. In status of implementation, you look at 2015 to 2019, those approved and now about 73% of it is being implemented. Of course, this is good news for us. And if you notice here, down here, the green line, there are 103 already acquired a site. So I think maybe some of you would have closed this case, some of these cases, all right, in the business. Okay. And despite the global challenges, Malaysia still received a lot of international accolades and good ratings in 2019. And this is okay. You know, this I think it indicates it's definitely above average. You know, it's in the range.
Okay, maybe we pause for a while. CT, any comments so far based on the overview?
Overall average is what says the data is there. Mr. Chee do a very good, very detailed analysis of the industry, whether it's small, mid industry, heavy industry. Now, on this chat group. I took a liberty to look at chat groups now. Most of the clients are asking questions. Some of them are quite new. So I'm very money-minded. They're considering moving to this industry in the mainland. Industry is future. Debt listing industry. All these are future industry players. They are rookies. And I think you come into the industry and you feel it. You get the hang of it. I think you will do better. I was in this industry ago in a general field. And then I was not 100% in the industry yet. But gradually, I'm now 40 years I'm in industry for 100%. Basically, once you get to the small SME industry, you will have all those that in the medium and small. How do you define SME? As a small industry, consider 5 people, employee full-time. And what we call the sales and turnover is about 300 to 3 million. That's one small industry. And in terms of the medium industry, the players will be 30 to 75. It's full-time employees. The sales turnover is 5 million to 20 million. This is all this industry, not in manufacturing yet. Whereas in the manufacturing, the sales turnover is 15 to 50%. Meaning SM industry, nothing more than 15, 200 people in one industry, and the turnover is less than 15. Of course, it varies from countries to countries. Basically, SME in Malaysia is the backbone of industry, in this industry.
Yeah, okay.
So I can see that the majority of the newcomer who put on a chat there, I think a lot of rank is interested in this line, in this industry.
Yeah. Okay, I think the voice is very bad today. Cannot really hear.
Yeah.
Maybe CT, some of the points that you type in the chat group so that they can read from there. Some of the key points that you have made just now.
Okay.
So sorry about all this internet.
Can't hear.
Yeah, can't because the walls keep breaking. Some don't have sound. This.
Oh, I lost him voice already.
Okay, we'll try to type in some of these points into the chat group so that you can pick up some of the points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Some people can hear,
right.
some people cannot hear.
I can hear CD quite well.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, shall I go on?
Okay, Chee, yeah, he can go on the next step while CT will type in some of his key points that he had made just now in the chat group.
Okay. After this overview of all the data, let's move on to industrial properties, basics, right? Okay, before anyone want to be involved in industrial property, I think you need to know what are types of property industrial properties. What do you mean by classification, industrial activity, zone, and also the total available market. All these are just really scan very what we call that simple information in the beginning, and of course you need to do more research and understand it deeper. So what I'm going to give you is just a skim on the surface. All right. Okay. What types of industrial properties are there in the market? We have this terrace, semi-D, detached houses, flatted factory, which is coming up in Malaysia now. Then industrial complex and vacant land. If you want to know more about details, then like each and every property, industrial property in Malaysia is especially also guided by there's a guideline of standards in the planning. All right, and you can go to the Selangor website to get hold of these guidelines and standards for planning standards in this website. All right, so these planning guidelines are generally similar to also residential. certain standards to follow, in terms of setbacks within the compound or plan you own, and also buffer zones and so on. So let's just quickly run through the pictures. This is the terrace factory for those who are really new in industrial property. It's like a terrace house, all right? It is a terrace where you have setback in front here of no setback. It's just that the road in front has to be 66 feet, all right? On the side, about at least another 66 feet for the side road. And the back, it has to be at least 40 feet back. So these are all the regulations. Then by looking a little bit more in detail, tax factory had two types, the normal one and low cost one. Right. The minimum plot area they need to be is 20 by 80, and the low cost one is 20 by 60. All right. So you see, when you go and see a terrace factory, you know, there's minimum size of 20 feet, you know, normal one, and minimum size of 80 feet. And also height of this factory, each height, they call it, not more than 40 feet, all right? And low cost is the same in terms of 3-story and 2-story. And of course, the service road is 66 feet. So service road will be quite consistent with all the properties, all types of the properties, all right? And okay, if you go to semi-D, this is a semi-D, a picture of semi-D. The front is still, setback is 40 feet, and the side is actually 25 feet for normal. But if it's a corner lot, the other side facing the road of the corner is also 40 feet, right? So this is a standard setback for semi-D, okay? All right, and then the minimum plot for a semi-D is actually 60 by 132. All right, feet. So roughly about 7,900 square feet. And the plain area means is the area of the land that can see building, and you cannot see a building with more than 60% of the land, right? And in the building itself, not more than 30% is office area. So this one, I think, for new rents, so you can actually take note of this. So when, all right. And the each side is for semi-D is 24 meter. Maximum is about 78 feet, 78 and a half feet. Okay. Now for a what call that, a detached factory, all right, it's different, slightly different. Detached factory means is like a bungalow house, all right? All sides got land and so on. So please don't call a detached factory a bungalow factory. This it sounds funny when you talk to your client, a bungalow factory, which means it shows that you are not an industrial real estate agent, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. Minimum plot is half an acre for a detached factory, and for medium one is 1 acre. Okay, plain area all the same. The height of the factory for a small one, half acre is 40 feet. For the medium one is 80 feet. Right. So sometimes you can see some factories are really high, especially for they use it as a warehouse. Okay, and service road is the same, and setback is the same. So, okay, for a detached factory, there's a sample, the picture. 50 feet here, corner, 40 feet here. Right? A corner is 25 feet setback from the boundary, so on. This is a sample of the warehouse. Warehouse, I think standard guidelines are similar to the test. Is a big, and maybe they have more back and front containers for trailers, right? Okay, and then for Factor Factory, I think the setbacks all the same, road service the same, but the height of this Factor Factory is on the ground is 18 feet. You know, the ground is 18 feet, and the subsequent floors 12 feet. Right, the setbacks are the same. Minimum for a Factor Factory is 1 acre size. Okay. All right. Industrial complex 10 to 20 acre to 10 to 50 is a different, all slightly different from the rest, but then all these will be submitted for approval. Okay. The capex minimum the same. Certain places that have to put in parks, greens, and so on. So this is a different one. All right. Okay. Let's go to. Okay.
Let's
come
maybe
to
pause for a
yes.
while here. We pause for a while here. I think just now what Mr. Chee has shared are some local government requirements for the industrial sector, the setback and all this measurement for different property. So those are just the knowledge you need to understand. So when you talk to customers, when they request certain requirement, you understand why they request certain requirement, because some of the bylaw that required by the state government. All this requirement, every state is different. Therefore, you have to know the local government what is their requirement for different state. What Mr. Chee has shared, all these are for the Selangor state.
Yes, for the Seng state. So you can go to their website to check all this. All right. Okay.
Victor requested for the slide to see the warehouse slide again.
Okay.
Warehouse slide.
You just check.
Warehouse. There's no warehouse slide. Oh, I mean the.
This is that dash one. I think.
This one.
The warehouse. That one, the warehouse. I think you want to look at the warehouse.
This is just a picture of the warehouse.
Yes, I think you're looking at this.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
This one with this is the warehouse with the racking on. This one is the racking.
Yeah. The height of this warehouse can go as high as 80 feet, but I think most of the time they build to 40 feet or 46, 60 feet.
Can we want to ask to say that with the racking, the rental will be higher, Mr. Chee?
Oh yeah, of course. If there's a racking, there's a less cost to the tenant. They will probably negotiate for some higher rental. All right, that's true. Okay. Let's go to.
There's one question here. It says what is the bylaw for the warehouse?
Bylaw for the warehouse.
Yeah.
Bylaw for the warehouse, you have to if this goes to
the requirements, I think is referred to the narrator.
Yeah, that one is a setback.
You said bylaw. What is referring to bylaw? Of course, there are bylaws.
These guidelines, I think, are the bylaws that you can go to the Selangor government, town and country planning department. Actually, they come up with all this what you call that. Just now what I share. This one.
Yeah.
This guideline.
Yeah. All this will be checked from here. Yeah.
This will be the bylaw for constructing or planning guidelines for building a factory.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is just a quick one for me. I just skim through . So you want more understanding, please go to this website, get a copy of this, a full description of what I'm trying to explain just now to show. All right.
Can you take note, Mr. Victor?
Yep.
Okay, can carry
Of
on.
course, I can send this to you all. If you later on, you just text me, PM me, then I'll send it to you. All right. Okay. Okay. So we have got the land, we've got a building. Now we have to look at what is the activity inside the building. Of course, generally there are three sectors here, light industry, medium industry, and heavy industry. All right, the activity according to what the manufacturing and so on. All right. Of course, you will say heavy industry means there's a definition for it, you know. So all this also is being classified in the classification of it, the guidelines of it can be found in this DOE, Department of Environment website under the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment. So in this guideline of sitting and zoning industry and residential areas, you can actually see all the classification of the industries, you know, and all these classifications are done by Malaysian standard industrial classification. So that is the guideline. So in this, we have a very detailed explanation of it. So of course, we couldn't spend time talking too deeply into that one. But I just want to let you know that all this information can be found in all this website, you know. Please go into it and you really have a good understanding. In fact, I read it once, a lot of things I couldn't remember. It's actually a lot of information there, right? And okay, that's the description of the what we mean. So I will read out this one as a sample. Description of nature of industry and activity. High-risk industry installation and activities characterized by very high risk due to fire, explosion, radiation, and highly hazardous chemicals and raw material used in production. Also highly hazardous. It emits significant levels of residue, particulate, and gaseous air pollutant. Besides very large quantities of wastewater containing significant levels of residue contaminants, generate large quantities of scheduled waste. Some of these are very difficult to treat. This could sound like a steel industry. That's why maybe steel industry is very sited quite far away. And a minimum is 1 km from a buffer. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more later. A buffer, of course, is the distance between the boundary of this high-risk factory to the residential area boundary. So minimum has to be 1 km or more, right? And then, of course, they also describe heavy industry similar to high risk but slightly less. Minimum distance is 300 meters, a buffer, all right? And also medium industry is categorized by moderate pollution and so on and so forth. And this one is only 150 meters, all right? 500 feet, I think. And industry is 50 meters. And cottage industry, there's no specific minimum buffer. And but if there's heat generated, it has to be at least 10 meters or more from the neighbor, I guess. All right, these are the 5 different ones. Then there's one word, special industry. Sometimes you find the word special industry. Special industry is just heavy industry which technically able to adopt or modify the production process and pollution control mechanism by use of the best available control technology. So this means they use technology to control their pollutants and so on and so forth. So they also go through a lot of contingency process and so on. And the process description and plan outputs are involved in management of projects are categorized as high technology based products. So this is using technology to reduce all those hazardous processes. Okay. So this is a special industry. So you can read all this in the DOE report.
What of semiconductor, Mr. Chee? There's one question asking semiconductor, is it under which category? Heavy, light, or medium industry?
I think it's medium.
Semiconductor should be medium size. Huh? There's another question here from Jane Leung. I was reading. Her question was, if an owner has 10 lots, 5 acres, total 5 acres in industrial park, can we propose a buyer who is 5 acres to buy all the 10 lots? And then she's go on saying, I'm afraid this park may not be suitable for the client industry. Well, if your client have these 5 acres, and if the owner has 10 acres, of course can sell 5 of it. What are the requirements? Is there any indication that cannot sell 5 acres? I don't know.
If you want to,
what's your comment on this, Mr. Chee?
In the report, it says also if you want to designate a place as an industrial zone, it has to be a minimum 10 acres. All right.
Yep.
If you are cited 5 acres within an industrial zone, of course you can subdivide and then sell all the plots as MED or terrace according to the Town Planning Council guidelines. All right.
Yeah, according to her, what she says, the owner has 10 lots, but this 10 lots already in the industrial park. Of course, the buyer wants 5 acres, definitely can buy 5 acres. Why not? I don't see any reason cannot. It's already inside the industrial park. I think that's a question. Can you buy 5 instead of 2 or 3? I think why not? I think that is a question, Mr. Chee. Of course, it's inside the industrial park already.
If it's inside the industrial park, yes. You know.
So Jin Leong, if you because your case is very specific on client, so any detailed information maybe you can contact Mr. Chee to discuss with him further, because they have to understand the condition and what is the requirement of your client as well.
Okay. I want to highlight this one more question here by our friend Kit Fu. Light industrial, can it be near residential zone, Mr. Chee?
Light industrial in the residential zone?
Near. There's a guideline just now you show. There's a for light any industry. It's not a question. It's not a question.
No question. It's not a question.
She was saying light industry can be near residential zone.
Industry can. So
yes, that's true.
50 meters away.
So type 4 light industry. So Madeline is
sorry, Kate,
you were asking
I misread your answer. This is the question. That is the answer, not a question.
Okay, thanks. Maybe I can't hear very well.
Kate was happy up. It's not very good.
Thank
you should be in this forum.
Okay, for buffer zone, just what the definition here lah. You know, buffer area is in context of guideline represent sufficient area of distance between 2 or more areas and activities for the purpose of mitigation of potential conflicts and the protection of environment. Okay, buffer zones are intended to safeguard and protect human lives, property, comfort and well-being, and sensitive ecological resources from fire, explosion, noise and vibration, air pollution due to emissions of particulates and gaseous pollutants, water pollution due to waste discharge, smoke and fume, odorous emissions of obtrusive artificial light, and aesthetic concern. All right. So this just a definition of it. So it's actually separation of 2 places. Most of the time is between an industrial area and a residential area. The boundary of it is called a buffer zone. All right. Of course, you read the DOE report. They also states it's an overall buffer zone, a primary and a secondary. So if you read more about it, it's a little bit more detailed there. But let's stick to just understanding there is a buffer zone. All right. And these are that's how we have already repeated this. Heavy industry 500 meter, medium 250 meter, and industrial house 200, light 550. But looking at the picture will be, I think, a better perception of it or a picture of it. So if this is a industrial, heavy industrial, then the minimum is 500 meters to a yaman, the rumah. So in between, you have, of course, you can have a commercial you know, here, service road, and also another 30 meter of, just now we were saying here, Saluran Tanaman, a green area of 30 meter. It is a heavy industry. So this is, so you can see that in the heavy industry, the front you can see is, the building is far away from the boundary. If opposite there is residential areas, another, you see quite a lot of greenery, trees and so on. So I think we'll probably use it for car park. All right. So, and same thing with medium is 250 meters. All right. So all this classification of industry, each and every one has got its individual, and you can find it in that, the classification manual, all right, in the DOE. This PME is one, or you can go direct there and check. It's all there. Huh? Thank you. And next is, of course, a special industry, so on. So this is a tutorial concept of what it means. All right. Okay. Next, we already know about.
Mr. Chee, we pause for a while here to answer some questions. Someone earlier asked whether when we mention industrial, does that include commercials and retail?
No.
No, right? Yeah. Industrial is industrial, commercial.
Yeah, commercial is commercial activity.
Yeah.
Industrial is.
Yeah, which may be slightly similar, but I think it's two different sectors altogether.
Yes. But now you find some of the factories are actually turning into commercial.
Yeah. So
that one, I'm not so sure how they get the operating license and so on and so forth. But then, whatever it is, there is due consideration of approval. A lot of factors involved, a lot of conditions involved from the local council, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There's one question here, excuse me, by Shafa. She was asking, if other state, which government department can we get these requirements?
Town and country planning.
I think all the same lah. Town and planning.
All the same.
Yeah.
No,
each and every state, town and planning.
So the local council, they're the town planning department.
So that's why when you, when any one of you goes to a place in industrial, you know, and sorry. Okay, so if you meet a piece of land or factory or somewhere, you do not know where, you look at the piece of land and you do not know whether this is for medium, high, or whatever, high industry, medium industry, light industry, or heavy industry. You actually go straight, you can just go straight to check with town planning council that they have this zoning plan, you know. From there you reconfirm. It's very important. Please don't assume. Let's say you have a big piece of land, assume, oh, next door is light, this one can be light, you know. So don't assume that, just go and check it again, especially when you are dealing with big clients. All information, even though you think you know it is right, please double check again, just to confirm, all right? That's very important. Okay, any more questions, Siti?
Yes, there's one here by, what's his name? Madeline Mo. She want Madeline Mo. She want to show, you want to see the slide for 4 light industry again. Please show 4 for the type 4 light industry.
Type 4 category.
Type 4 light. Maybe she has something to ask on that. Type 4 light industry. Light industry. Type 4. Yes. She wants to, I think she wants this. Madeline Mo. Madeline Mo was asking. She didn't say photo. She can take a photo now, Madeline.
Yeah, she got it already.
She got it. Yes, she got it.
Okay, good.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
If you don't know, one day very fast, you just later on text it to me, take down my number, text to me, then I'll PM it to you. Okay?
So another question, Mr. Chee, is checking on this detailed industrial land, this land search is there a charge? Do you have to pay for it?
If you do a title search, of course, there's a charge. All right. Okay, you want to do a land search? Yeah, if you go to the land office, of course, they will charge you.
Yep.
All right. That actually will be the second session, but anyway, since you asked, you also can buy a updated plan, or they call it the certified plan of the land or property that you want to know the latest surveyed dimensions. You can get it in Japan. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I think we can carry on.
Okay, let's get to know what is I think this is more interesting to people who wants to be a rent. What is the total available market? All right. I'm going to go through some data again on most of it is from NAPIC. All right. I think yesterday Wing also shown some of this. Let me go to it again, some of it. Okay, this is a volume and value of industrial transactions for the last 18 years. And you can see the blue bars are the volume, the units transacted throughout, but averagely, I think if I look from 2001 until now, averagely, you can expect about 6,000 units per year, But then the peak was from 2008, 2007, 8 until 2014. This was the peak time. That time, the industrial activities was quite vibrant. That is also the time when I make my most sales here. All right. So going back to the latest one, you can see that this year there was a slight improvement in terms of 3.8% in terms of volume transaction. To me, this one is just we should look at the average trend for volume transaction. I can see that it is a very flat trend. All right. But then you look at the transaction value, the trend is different. The trend is uptrend, even though it is flat for the volume of units done. So you can see that around here, even though it's 6,000 units, around 6,000 to 7,000 units, the value is very high. Okay, so later maybe I can show you it's the average price per unit for different types of properties. Okay, so this is interesting. So if you are a industrial rent, your money comes from where? Not by the units, right? It's by the value. So it's still a bright sunlight here, lah. If you want to be a rent here. So for those existing rents, don't leave the industry, please. All right.
Okay, excuse me, Mr. Chee, before you're going on, there's one question regarding just now. I just said from Melissa Low. She was referring to this question that does the uncertainties of our political status affect the investors' climate, especially foreign buyers, and how with this COVID-19, what are the effects at this juncture, and what are the sectors is on the rise? Meaning, at this moment, you are referring to your previous slide.
Yes. Okay.
So,
I think maybe I can share my opinion a little bit here.
Yes.
The COVID-19 actually is very unprecedented. Means it has never happened. This type of thing. It was a health issue, a health crisis. Actually, not an economic crisis. If you look at the data just now, 2019, you actually can see a rise in investment in Malaysia. So, and because of this health crisis, everything was affected by it, all right, except certain industries. Industries catering to supply of biomedical supplies to this COVID-19, like testing kits, masks, and so on. So those biomedical supply industries, I think, will thrive at this time, and will actually make some more sales. A very good example is a friend of mine is also doing this medical equipment. So he has got a few ventilators in his warehouse, about I think 12 or 15 ventilators. It was sitting there for at least 2-3 years because there was no need for it during normal time. But because of the COVID-19, he sold it within a week, making him a few $million there, it seems. So people with medical equipment, biomedical supply, and also related downstream from it also will benefit. All right. Okay, so there is one.
I'd like to add on with the SME thing with this COVID-19 case. Majority of the SME recently is the restructuring and their business and downsizing the operation to cope with the challenging times. Especially now, 28% to 23%, they're downsizing now. Some of the SME, yes. Some are adopting to the digital technology, such as utilizing e-commerce. And recently, the government has give out the funds to, they call it SRF, Special Relief Funds to SME. So this is one of the kind of the prudent things that the government is helping the SME to survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
And, I think CY also made a comment in the chat box: logistics, warehousing, medical equipment, pharmaceutical, toiletries, healthcare, all these are all doing
other than that, it's all doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And certain services, right?
Yeah, certain services.
All right. In this slide, go on. In this slide, I just go straight into our industrial property, all right? The volume by subsector, of course, residential is the biggest. Industrial only make up 2% of the total transaction in terms of volume. But then if you look at the value transacted, it's different. Industrial is 10% of the total, all right? Residential is 51%. So of course, less, you sell less and value more. So that's an indication, all right? I think all of you know about this already. And then in 2009, there was an increase of 3.8%, but the value dropped 1%. But this one, I wouldn't look at it as a big impact. Your industrial property transactions, looking at it, is 6,261 units transacted in 2019. 41% of it is more than 1 million. This is good news for industrial rents. If you are doing terrace factory, I think now easily it's around the figure. If you do semi-D, then it's of course more. All right. Of course, terrace and semi-D also make the bulk of the transactions. Right. And then from here you can see, in terms of transaction, those transacted 31% is terrace, semi-D is 23%. Semi-D is coming up. All right. Later I'll show you a little bit of figure there. And also detached is 12% of the total transacted volume. Okay. And in terms of supply, means the incoming stock. Those who are developing and so on, we actually have future supply of 11,000 plus. Okay. All right.
I'd like to draw attention to this question from Jimmy Tong, Mr. Chee.
Yeah.
It says that it's now a good time to buy industrial property or industrial land.
Okay, but you look at the trend. To me, industrial property is still good sector to look in right now, because it's now those what you call that development of all these industrial properties is moving more and more out of Shah Alam if you are in Selangor, because there are no more land in the central area. It has to move a little bit more, and because of the all this infrastructure development, so far doesn't mean very far already. So in terms of demand, I will still see a good demand. So in terms of investment, you have to think of medium term, not short term. I think it's still good investment to go in. And right now, after the COVID-19, I expect some companies, I think it's already happening, that they want to sell and lease back because they need the cash to tie them out of the crisis in the next few years. Yes, I think the demand after COVID-19 will still be there, selective demand. Investors, I'm sure, will look out. So SMEs, some of them, like Lee says, may also face a problem, may want to sell and lease back, you know. So yeah, I'm not so sure about the whole impact, but to me, please look at the investment from the point of view of demand, location, and accessibility. All right, and also sometimes look at the factory, how it's being built. Is it the structure of it? Is it amicable to common use? You know. Okay.
I'd like to add on. Doesn't mean that the industry doesn't look good. There's still a lot of SME companies who looking for good buy.
Yes.
There is. Yeah, they have cash in hand. For example, my client bought quite a few. Yes, and introduced his friends to do so. So, Mr. Jimmy,
yep,
introduce your client. It's still a good time to buy. Really a good time to buy. You got a lot of commission there, my friend.
Anyway, before you buy, always do your investigation properly. And thanks. Okay. Okay, for here the supply is 11,000 plus every year. I think it probably be about 5,000 goes into the market, another 5,000 will be on the process. And then you notice, I also notice the trend is every year the volume of transaction is about 5% of the total stock. The existing supply means the existing stock in the whole country is about 117,000 units of industrial properties. We'll go deeper into it later. All right. Okay. And by state, of course, Selangor is still the king. 35% of transactions still happen in Selangor. All right. And the next one is Johor. Surprisingly, the other one is Sarawak and Perak, Penang. So actually, Negeri Sembilan, Malacca, all these are all quite near to KL, to Selangor. So that's why I say a certain expansion may even go up as far as Nilai and Seremban. And the other side, the northern part is Gombak and Serenda area. Those areas may be coming up later on because scarcity of land in the central area, and also the price is going up. All right. Okay, let's look at the supply in Malaysia alone. This report is from MIDA. 500 developed industrial estates, 18 in a free industrial zone. All right. So the developed means, I think, structurally properly planned for industrial as a park. You know, in Klang Valley is Selangor and Wilayah. We estimated about 300 industrial estate with a total supply of 45,887. So this one I did a calculation recently from the NAPIC report, 2019, makes up 35% of the total supply in the whole country. Just information for you, so that sometimes when you have conversation with a client, you can actually send this to them. Your clients want to know the situation and so on. Okay, this is this slide. I want to determine roughly, approximately, how much averagely is each type of property being transacted. What is the transaction value of each type of property? All right, I'm using the 2019 forecast sales and volume from the NAPIC report. Because I got only until Q3, so I just do some extrapolation. So by looking at this, you can see that there are the four main types is here: vacant plot, terrace, semi-D, and detached. And you notice that terrace is roughly about 900,000 in Selangor averagely. Semi-D 4 million, and detached is 12 million. But if you look at the volume of transaction here, detached is only 154 in 2019, roughly, and 354 in semi-D, and the terrace is 844. So, and also vacant plot, land, a small vacant plot, also quite substantial. So these are the properties. If you are doing a factory, then which one do you think you look for? Which one will you look at? All right. So if your commission is coming from 4 million, this transaction is 80. Okay, assuming 2% or 3%. You're talking about big numbers here. Of course, detached is it takes longer time for you to close. You have to take care of the client very well to close this sector. But for semi-D, I think it applies a lot to SME, right? City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this graph which gave my friend who checked in CY, she's very optimistic about this industry. She checked in the chat just now. Yeah, CY. I think she's from a developer side or Redfield rank. She just checked. She's checked here. Said the industry is always in demand for these industrial properties. Yeah. Now definitely the pharmaceutical part, the logistic. Definitely they're looking for industry. So she's very optimistic. Very good of her to say that. I don't know whether she's our rank or she's from outside.
Good. I mean, that's a good deduction, very good deduction, and I believe it. And okay lah, let's say it dropped 10%. And what's the quantity? Some more, you know, it dropped 10%. I still have 300 units in the market that I can work on to close. You know, so if I take let's say 10% is 35 units. If I take 1% is 4 units. You know, 1% of the market share is already 4 units. 4 units, 4 times 4 is 16 million, my dear friend. So to me, I'm not worried about industrial property transaction come down or whatever. I'm only worried about how I can service my client, do my relationship selling with them, how I connect with them, how they can trust me. I want to create that trust between myself and my client. And I must be reliable. That's why I spend a lot of money doing a lot of due diligence on the title, the whatever, you know, for my clients before I ask them to move in. That is the things that I have to show my client. It is the process that I take to service my client. And I think most of our clients look at the process we do, because the process we do is our standards, you know. So that is very important to I think majority of the clients, of course, you know. So yeah, look at, on one hand, I look at the size of property. Next question is, do I specialize in semi-D or this or that, you know? To me is, okay, you think semi-D is the way to go because of the volume and also there's a balance of quantity and the money I can make. Maybe I can focus in semi-D. But at the same time, I also do not ignore the detached factory, the land, and also the terrace. All these, I think, my clients will also have some stocks in mind, which is also like these type of properties. So we will actually also do it at the same time. So find a focus point, and whatever happens at the site, also take advantage of it. So that journey will be, I think, quite safe to me. All right.
Yep.
Thank you for that is a very good advice, Mr. Chee. I want to hang this to the new rank who want to come into this industry. What Mr. Chee just shared is very valuable. Your contact, your relationship with your client is the utmost important. When you got that, hang on it, you got to trust. I think they listen to whatever you say.
Yeah. So once you get the trust from them, they will be your repeated customer.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh yes. Trust me.
Actually, okay, we can talk a lot about what to do, to gain their trust, but that will be, I think, probably in the next
That's
session.
one topic by itself already.
All right. Okay, so last time only I did this because I got the figures, the latest one.
Yeah.
Let's look at Selangor example, because that's where the king of industrial area is still Selangor, right? Okay, so let's look at supply in Selangor. What is the supply share of Selangor? All right, compared to whole Malaysia. Now, if you look at terrace factory, is 45% of, before I say that, there is about 40,701 units of supply in Selangor state, right? Oh, which is, of course, just now we know 35% of it is from Selangor. And in this, going back into the types, the terrace factory is 45% of the total units. Semi-D is 24. You see, Semi-D is quite big, Last time, Semi-D is not so much, but the last few years, it has been growing quite a lot. Developers are developing a lot of Semi-Ds. And then detached, also 24%. So you're talking about one quarter, these three sectors, all right? Of course, flected factory is another thing, all right? So I hope this is helpful to you. So you can have that vision or outlook or overview of these Selangor properties. So and then, okay, let's dive even more deeper into it. Let's say there are nine councils, right? 1, 2, 3, about 9 councils in Selangor state. And let's look at different districts and see what is it about, for all these types of industrial properties. And I have not touched on land, because land is another sector which is not here. All right. So the top district is still Petaling. Okay. Now Petaling is of course Shalam, PJ, and Suruhanjaya. They have 10,000 units of terrace factory, Semi-D, 2,000, and so on. So they have got 35% of the supply of the state in actually Petaling district. The next one is in Keong, all right? And then 21%. Can you see that just these two alone give you more than 50%? Just Shah Alam and Keong. You just work into this area, I don't think you can finish it. It's already 56% of the supply share of Selangor state. All right. Of course, your clients want a little bit further, you can go up to Hulu Langat, 18%. And then the northern region, another 22%, Gombak and Hulu Selangor, these two. All right. So you can see, and interestingly, terrace factory actually make the most, 70% of the unit supply. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but you all want to take a photo here, you can take a photo, then maybe create some image here so you can see.
I'd like to draw attention to this question from May W. Is it May Fong or May what W? She wants to know what's the difference between the flatted and the complex. Mr. Chee.
Just now I showed the complex. Is,
there was earlier on.
Complex is something like the Petronas factory complex. All right, flatted is, you can see the flatted factory in Shah Alam Maple Tree warehouse. It's also a flatted factory. But I think the factory, some of the Semi-Ds are considered as flatted because they got 3 floors. All right.
So did that answer your question, May?
All right.
All right. Flatted is multi-story.
Multi-story, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I think, excuse me, sorry. I think some of these technical terms you can Google online to find the information. I think we may not need to spend time explaining all these technical things because, like I say, Industrial is very technical, so you need to do a lot
Yeah.
of research to understand it.
Okay, this one I hope give you an image of Selangor State where the supplies, the percentage of supply share is. So you can see here, Petaling and Keong, this whole place, this is where we stay lah. And then if you go up here, this area, Hulu, Selangor and Gombak is another 22%. So it's not a small deal here. So there is still activities going on here. It's just that the distance is a bit too far. A lot of us do not want to go there, you know. And then Hulu Langat, I think this is Ampang, Ceras, that side. Pangi. Sepang also come in, not so much yet. All right, but this, just spend your time in Keong and Petaling, I think you're pretty busy already. All right, pretty busy. Until now, I couldn't cover Keong so well.
Yeah.
Still have to depend on LC and Eric.
Yeah. Keong is
Because
another unique area.
the other thing is, if you cannot cover, please find a trusted agent that you can connect with. It saves you a lot of time and you can service the client properly. All right. Don't be selfish and not share. Don't be afraid that he will undercut you. So what? That is very important because these are all mental blocks, limiting beliefs. You always have to trust your colleague and all. Just because I believe if you trust them, the good will still come back one. Okay lah, if somebody really undercut me, I know him already then. And I think most people won't like to do that. Maybe last time, but now I think people are more dignified, more integrity, and they want to protect the business. And also because I think Keller William Redfield is giving very good training. All right. Okay, this is my last slide. Well, second last slide. This is the last slide that I want to show you. Semi-D and detached factory supply in the future will be more. And why there will be more? Because I think there is the demand for it because of SMEs. All right. Now you look at the 2019 share is, let's say look at semi-D. There's a 16% here. Incoming is 1,134 units in the next two, estimated next 2 years. So in 2022, 1.5 years from now, 1 or 2 years from now, easily have 7,000 over units, additional of 2% in the supply share. Likewise with detached factory, there's a 1%, right? So you're talking about 6,500, 1,000 units is no small matter, no. You want to close 2 of it, you know how happy I can be, all right? Detached factory, 600 over units coming into the market. So there's ample opportunity in terms to work. And I can tell you, nobody can cover everything. So this is last slide I can show you. You want to take a photo, you can. Okay. All right. So that's all I think our presentation today. Yeah. I hope all of you have got some idea of what industrial property is, especially for the new people, and also help you to make a decision whether I should move into industrial property or I should not, you know. Yeah. So you want to make more decisions, more information, decide, go into the websites that I've shown you, go through it, get a feel of it, because that is important. Because if you are not comfortable with facts and figures, I can tell you this job is a draggy one. Draggy one. And to close a case, of course, depend on the area and how good you are in terms of improving yourself. This is a very good sector. Okay?
Yep. Next slide, you show, Mr. Chee, you show the next slide. Okay, for those of you, because very sorry for the internet condition, I think the last few days the telco having problem. So if you have any questions, you can text us a message based on this number. Then we can try to answer or clarify for you. And some of the questions you ask is how to get all this statistic data. You can go to MITA or NAPIC data, is all there. is available online. You go and check all this data. Yeah. Also, earlier on, someone asked Charles, I think, asked how to get into industrial group. Text us that show your interest, because we need to verify a bit of information first before we put you into the platform. So if you are interested to find out how to join the group, just text us a message from this, either one of this number that you've seen here. I'm trying to see any other questions earlier bring up. I think Jimmy also brought out one earlier, because of the COVID-19 has changed the entire landscape for consumer future experience. What do you think, which industry will doing well? What do you think, Mr. Chee or City?
Say that again, sorry.
Because of the COVID-19 has changed the entire landscape for consumer future experience. So what do you think, which industries will be doing well because of all these changes?
Well, I think, you know, the top 5 industries will continue to do well. Yeah, will continue to do well.
Think for
me,
me,
logistics, all this industry will do well. You know?
Logistics, especially logistics could be one. From my opinion, because of the e-commerce online purchase, all this thing. So
e-commerce business.
All this storage space to reach, to put the product to the consumer become one important criteria. So for example, like a lot of, we begin to notice a lot of B2B company now begin to move to become B2C.
Yeah, B2C and last mile delivery or something like that.
Last mile delivery, last mile connectivity will be the future demand. Last mile connectivity could be the future business that we should look into to help, because the speed of delivering the good to the consumer will become the criteria to determine which customer want to buy from. For example, when I order a fish, one tell me it will arrive in 1 week, the other tell me can arrive tomorrow. So which one will I buy from? So those are the factors that may affect the future demand for this last mile connectivity, demand for those distribution for the consumer. So these are some of the potential business that we can look in because of the changes. All right. I think with that, I want to thank Mr. Chee. Just for your information, Mr. Chee worked until midnight last night, 12 midnight, just to prepare all this slide and statistics for you so that he can share with you. But unfortunately, today the internet is a bit cranky. You may not be able to hear what he said, but I think the number is quite clear if you spend some time to read through it. Right.
Sorry if I'm not clear on the delivery, but then I hope you maybe go deeper into it. Anything you want to inquire, you can actually personally text me. All right. Thanks. Right.
Okay.
So the subject is very vast. So you want to do a real training? I think easily 1 week. 1 week every day. If you really want, to do it.
Yeah.
One week classroom for 5 years on the field to gain the experience.
Yes, your learning experience is mostly in the field. If you are an industrial rent, I would have to encourage you to go in the field every day, or plan a field trip all the time, update your listing, update your location, and so on. This one, I think later on, maybe next session, we will talk more. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so if you still have any other specific questions you want to ask, you can always free to text us with this number, and we'll try our best to respond to you as possible. Because of time factor, so we had to now come to an end of our session, and we'll make some announcement now. Can I have the announcement slides? Okay, for tomorrow morning, Wing, who have been sharing with us some of the statistics from the residential side, especially yesterday, he will be sharing with us what is the model to win your clients, right? So tomorrow morning, 10 to 12, is a session where you learn the technique and skill how to win your client through Wing. And next. And in the afternoon, our friend MJ, who's from Penang, will be guiding us through how to use the GPS in the Mandarin session to create a GPS plan for ourselves so that we are clear in our business and we can focus on what are the key activities we need to focus on to do. So if you are Mandarin speaking, you have friends who are Mandarin speaking, you want to know more about how to develop a GPS business plan, sign up for this afternoon session tomorrow by MJ. Next. And this is a session that nobody should miss. Thursday night, we are able to connect all the way to US, listen to Matt Titter, who is the director of leadership coaches. He is the one who coached all the MAP coaches in the Keller Williams. And he is going to share with us how to conduct a session doing needs analysis with our clients so that we can be more relevant in the way we advise our customer what to do in terms of real estate aspect. So this is a very good technique that we all should pick up, because once you're able to do this, you'll be able to connect with your customer in a different level. And that is one of the techniques where you can earn trust from your customer. So make sure you sign up for this session tomorrow night, Thursday night, 9:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. because we have to align with the US timing, which is in the morning for them, right? So remember to sign up for this. Next. And finally, Read Day is 14th of May. Now in Keller Williams worldwide, every year we will have one day called Read Day. Read Day is a day whereby we will put aside our business, but just to focus on doing some community services, right? So this year for Keller Malaysia, we have decided to do this program called Raise Fund to support our rent because of the COVID-19 situation. Some of our rent are actually facing financial challenges because we can't do the business. So therefore, we are raising funds to support those who are in need, especially with family, with children, right? So if you want to participate, kindly contribute through the account number that we have mentioned here. And next slide. If you know of any rent or yourself who are in need of the financial aid, feel free to call this 3 person with the phone number down there, talk to them about having a need for financial support, then they will help you to guide you through the process how to do it, right? So with that, any more announcements? With that, thank you very much for your participation. And I think besides the sound issue, I think you look at the slides, they are very informative and very detailed and very clear on the statistic aspect of it. So like I said, industrial is very technical. You do a lot of research and it's very factual. So if you want to go into the industrial, you have to mentally prepare to do this job. So with that, thank you very much once again for everyone for participating this morning session, and wish you all the best and a good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe.